operations for MAS Insurance Marketing and Medicare Advantage Specialists. MAS, MAS is a nationally recognized, award-winning field marketing organization and a leader in the insurance brokerage industry. And our office is located in beautiful Hoover, Alabama, just outside Birmingham. At MAS, we're proud of the superior service, support, and training we provide to the agents across the country who work with us. We take great pride in our relationships with our agents and our carriers. Our staff provides marketing strategies and assistance, creating numerous opportunities for our agents through lead programs, our agency builder program, Fast Start, and other incentive programs. Your success is based on us, and our success is based on you. Our specialty is the senior market. Our portfolio includes Medicare Supplement, Medicare Advantage, Final Expense Whole Life, Term Life, Universal Life, Critical Illness, and Cancer Plans. We have 5 marketing directors that are in the MAS office who are eager to work with producers to help you grow your business. We believe that we can provide great support as well as market analysis of products available in your area to assist you in developing a strategic marketing plan for your business. We're always up to date on the latest products, carriers, lead programs, and services as they become available. And our staff is available to provide field support with marketing supplies, certification information, carrier appointments, and assist with service issues. And if you're new to the business, I'd like for you to speak with one of our marketing directors and ask about our mentor program. Our goal is to help you grow your business. Today, we're excited to share with you all of the reasons to represent Foresters, an outstanding company who not only offers a portfolio of products designed to protect your client, but also a company who gives back to the community in many ways. I know that I have worked with Foresters now for the last 8 years, and we've enjoyed so much being a part of their organization. They have fabulous trips. They do a lot of work in the community, and I believe that after you see the presentation that Jared is going to share with you today, that you're going to agree that this is a fabulous company to add to your portfolio. So before we get started, I'd like to just share with you the Gotowebinar Toolbar that's located on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a control panel. There's an audio toolbar that gives you the option to either listen with your computer speakers or through your telephone. And then there's also a chat toolbar, which will allow you to ask questions. If you would please you can ask those questions in the chat bar. I'll be going through those as Jared goes through his presentation. And then at the end of his presentation, then we'll go through any questions that you have, and we'll make sure that we get those answered before we end the webinar this afternoon or this morning. So, webinar technology is great. It allows us to be here in the comfort of our own office, and we can learn about great products. But as you all know, that with technology, there are sometimes minor issues that occur. So if for some reason the audio pauses or the screen tends to move a little slow, just stick with us, and the technology issues will work themselves out. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The presentation today will last about 35 to 45 minutes. And so we'll go ahead and get started, and I'm going to hand the controls over to Jared Gaspanzik. He is with Foresters, and he's going to share with you the information about Foresters and their newly released single premium whole life policy. So with that being said, Jared, I'm going to hand the controls over to you.
Okay.
And let you move forward.
Go ahead and open up this slide deck here. Let me know if you can see that.
I can see it.
Perfect, perfect. Well, certainly we appreciate this opportunity. So today I'll be talking about our newest product, our Foresters Your Legacy. It's a single premium participating whole life product. I'm the National Training Manager here with Foresters. So to give you an overview, one note, I always like to read through this disclaimer before I get started here. So with this product, we do have a built-in accelerated death benefit rider. So receipt of accelerated death benefit payment is intended to qualify for favorable treatment under the Internal Revenue Code. However, depending upon the individual circumstances or changes, to the Internal Revenue Code, the payout amount may be taxable and may affect the eligibility for public assistance or benefits. So we strongly recommend your client should consult a qualified tax advisor before receiving any death benefit payment. And last note I have on this page, for all critical and chronic illness claims, the payment will be less than the acceleration amount, subject to administrative fee, actuarial discount, and other deductions. So with that said, I'll be giving you a great introduction on, we're excited to have this product on board here with Foresters, Your Legacy. At the end, I'll be reviewing Foresters' difference. As I mentioned, if you haven't heard of us, we're a very unique company. We've been around for over 140 years. Yes, we offer great life insurance, but what you're going to find is we give back to our members, and you become a member with Foresters when you take out a life insurance contract with Foresters. We give back to our members, their families, and the communities in which they live in. Support, and then finally at the end, I'll be going through just a quick scenario on utilizing the software. So with that said, so it's non-medical only, single premium, participating whole life, lifetime protection, and all those guarantees. So who is this product going to be a good fit for? Well, what you're going to find is issue ages are down to 0 up to age 85, but that's a large market. But let's go through here. Target market. Retirees want to allocate a portion of their assets to cover a multitude of financial risk while leveraging potential estate value of the assets. Looking for simplicity. As I mentioned, non-medical only. We're talking about two different underwriting classifications. You have standard and substandard with this product. Looking for cash value growth through dividends while having the upside death benefit protection. They want that lifetime protection. And down here at the bottom, or grandparents or parents looking to buy coverage on their grandchildren or children, provides lifetime coverage and protects against, all that unpredictability, such as future insurability, I should say. So otherwise known as a wealth transfer vehicle. Those with assets, bank accounts, savings, CDs, etc. They don't expect the need for expenses such as long-term care or emergencies, but intend to leave to their heirs, which may be subject to inheritance tax if left the way they were. By utilizing Your Legacy, the assets can be transferred generally without income tax payable by the beneficiary. This is life insurance. I should look at those two markets out there. The senior market, as I mentioned, they have that money sitting around, bank accounts, CDs, etc. Don't expect, to utilize that need for that money. Or, again, down here at the bottom, grandparents or parents looking to buy coverage on their grandchildren or children. So non-medical, no blood, no urine, no attending physician statement. And I have here for standard underwriting. With substandard underwriting, we are going to be looking at an attending physician statement. And I am going to get into the differences in the next couple slides. You have available with this product, it's called an optional Decision Express phone interview, otherwise known as point of sale for standard underwriting. And that's an option for you. But I look at that when I'm talking to producers, it's going to need two things for your business. One, get a stronger commitment from them because you know what they're medically eligible to apply for before you leave the client's house. Two, faster issue. Once we receive it in the house of Foresters, if everything's in good order, we're looking at less than 48 hours to issue. Regardless, we're going to be looking at MIB and prescription history. Very easy to work with. There's not a lot of moving parts to this product. Here we have our standard bill table on the right-hand side. For example, down here at the bottom, somebody could be 5'11", weigh up to 298 pounds, and still qualify. So insurance classes, we have juvenile, issue ages 0 to 15, tobacco and non-tobacco 16 to 85, and substandard 16 to 80. This is an age nearest product, as I mentioned, issue ages 0 to 85, and the minimum single premium amounts 0 to 15, $1,500, 16 to 29, $5,000, 30 to 85, $10,000. Now the maximum single premium for all ages is $500,000. And lastly on this page, I have the maximum net amount at risk. From issue ages 0 to 15, $150,000, 16 to 55, $250,000, 56 to 75, $175,000, and lastly, 76 to 85, $150,000. And looking at that, the net amount at risk is simply defined as the initial face amount minus the single premium. 1035 exchanges are allowed with this product. Let's talk about underwriting classifications. So standard, it's from Table 1 to a Table 4. You may be more familiar with a plus 100 or a Table D. Again, clients do not need to be in perfect health. And I'm going to be showing you, two key pieces when you're working with those clients that may not be in perfect health. So for standard, we have juvenile, 0 to 15, non-tobacco and tobacco, 16 to 85. Then we also have substandard. Again, keep in mind with substandard, we are going to be looking at an intended position statement. So it's available, again, issue ages 16 to 80, and rating tables from Table 5 to Table 8, and underwriting will simply determine what that amount is. Loans are available up to the current cash surrender value at the end of the current certificate year. Currently, the loan interest rate is 5%. Also, a great feature is this non-direct recognition. Now, if you're not familiar with that, let me give you an example. Let's say you have a client that has cash value of $100,000, and they take out a loan for $50,000. If and when we pay those dividends, we're still going to pay dividends on that full $100,000, even though they have a loan out for half of that. That's a great feature, non-direct recognition. Again, this is participating. If you're new to participating in whole life products, one note, as I mentioned, dividends are not guaranteed, but I will say we do have a history of paying dividends annually. And looking at the illustration and what we anticipate to pay out, also we have a nice marketing piece showing our dividend history going back about 10 years, and I'll show you where that's available on Foresters.com. So 3 different dividend options. Paid-up additions, I have default here. That's what the software defaults to, and you're going to utilize that the majority of the time. What that is designed to do is the client is buying more death benefit, which is also going to build more cash value. Keep in mind, this endows at age 121. On deposit with interest, the floor on that's 3%, currently paying 3.5%, or simply get that money in cash. So that's essentially the product itself, but now let's look at the riders. One note before we look at the riders. Riders are always subject to state availability and eligibility for the client, which pertains to the accelerated death benefit rider. And I'll be getting into more detail. Again, these riders are all automatically included, and I'll show you on the software. Essentially it's going to come down to, I look at it as 4 things. State availability, age of the client, health of the client, and face amount at issue. So let's first look at our family health benefit rider. So how this works is we're going to pay up to $650 per person per incident with a lifetime maximum of $5,000 for catastrophic events such as hurricane, tornado, earthquake. How that $650 is calculated: $50 for the ambulance, $100 for the emergency room exam, and $100 a day in the hospital for 5 days for that total of $650. So when you have those clients that live on the coast, subject to hurricanes, use that recent example of the earthquakes that we had in California. If they were injured and they were a member of Foresters and had to go to the hospital, a great way to pay down any medical deductibles. So that's family health. Next is our common carrier. So first off, common carrier is defined as a fare-paying passenger on a regular route, such as a bus, a plane, a train. So how this works is we're going to pay out 2 times the base face amount to a maximum of $300,000. So let's say you have a client that's a frequent traveler like myself, and they die as a result in a plane accident. You write base coverage of $100,000 with your legacy. They die in that plane crash. Well, common carrier is going to double that, $100,000, so $200,000 plus the base of $100,000 for a total of $300,000. Next, let's talk about our living benefits, our accelerated death benefit rider. One note: this is approved in all states and currently, with the exception of California, New York, and Connecticut. We're still waiting on state approval for those 3 states. But if the insured is diagnosed with an eligible illness, the rider provides the opportunity for the owner to accelerate a portion of the eligible death benefit and receive accelerated benefit payment. So depending upon eligibility and state variations, the rider can be issued with 1 or more of the following eligible illnesses: chronic, critical, and terminal. So let's go through the definitions. So first, chronic illness means the insured is unable to perform without substantial assistance from another person at least 2 of the 6 activities of daily living for a period of at least 90 days. There is a 90-day waiting period due to loss of functional capacity, or it requires substantial supervision by another person to protect the insured from threats to health and safety due to the insured's severe cognitive impairment. And the last note I have on this page: the diagnosis must be made by a physician as permanent. Next, critical. Critical illness is defined by life-threatening cancer, heart attack, stroke, advanced Alzheimer's before age 75, end-stage renal failure, major organ failure, and ALS. And lastly, terminal illness. Terminal illness means the insured has a non-correctable illness or physical condition which is reasonably expected to result in death within 12 months. So let's look at the eligibility. As I mentioned, I look at it as state you're writing business in, age of the client, health of the client, and face amount. So for chronic, critical, and terminal, minimum face amount at issue is $20,000. For chronic and critical, maximum issue age is 80, and available to new issues with standard rate class only, not available for substandard. For terminal illness, again, minimum face amount, as I mentioned, $20,000. Maximum issue age, no maximum, and available on both new issue with standard and substandard. And again, the software, once you put in the client's information, which I'll show you, automatically selects all the riders that your client is eligible for and state availability. So the minimum acceleration amount, $4,500. Now let's look at maximum acceleration amount. So for chronic, in any 12-month period as a result of the insured being diagnosed with a chronic illness can accelerate up to 24% of the eligible death benefit at the time of the first chronic illness acceleration. Claims, no restriction. If the insured continues to be chronically ill, the insured may reapply for a new claim. Waiting period across the board. For chronic, critical, and terminal, no waiting period. Once issued, they automatically have this. As I mentioned with chronic, there is a 90-day elimination period. For critical illness, the maximum is going to be the lesser of 95% of the eligible death benefit time with each claim and $500,000. No restrictions on the amount of claims, no waiting period, no elimination period. And lastly, terminal illness. Maximum 95% of the eligible death benefit time in the terminal illness claim, $500,000. Only one terminal illness claim is allowed, at which point the rider terminates. Again, no waiting period, no elimination period. Now, the maximum lifetime is the lesser of 95% of the eligible death benefit on the effective date of the first payment, and the maximum, which is currently $500,000. And one note, there is a minimum residual amount of $10,000. So some key pieces for you with this product. Over here, on the left-hand side, we have our underwriting guide. That's specific just to this product. It's going to go through build tables, issue ages. At the back, and I'm going to open this up here once I log on to Foresters.com, common health concerns and whether the client's going to be eligible for standard, substandard, or not at all. So a nice piece to help field underwrite those clients. Over on the right-hand side is the producer guide. It's going to go through detailed information on the riders, net amount at risk. So two key pieces with this product, underwriting guide and producer guide. Marketing pieces for clients. Over here, on the left-hand side, we're looking at Forrester's prospecting brochure. Highlights those member benefits. I always say I recommend you leave as many as you see fit with any client that you're meeting with. In the center, we have your legacy trifold brochure. Then over here on the right-hand side, we have what's called our consumer worksheet. Very positive feedback because we have this available with most of our products here with Foresters. But we're looking at the back. Put in the client's name, date, your contact information, customize it based off face amount, plus summarizes those member benefits. I recommend you can certainly leave all three behind. So that was a quick review on the product. As I mentioned, very easy to work with, non-medical. It's competitively priced, down to 0 up to age 85. That's a large market. But now let's go through, and I'm going to review Forrester's difference before I log on to Foresters.com, show you where there's some additional resources, and lastly, quote the product. So as I already mentioned, we've been around for over 140 years, championing the well-being of families. Yes, we offer great life insurance, but we give back to our members. We're in solid financial shape. We've been rated A by AM Best for 14 consecutive years. This gives you and your clients a lot of peace of mind with the company on who you're doing business with. Now, a couple reasons for our strong financial position. One, we have a conservative investment strategy. We're invested in very high-grade bonds. This has definitely helped us in the long run. Two, we're a Canadian-based company. We're based out of Toronto, Ontario. That means that we abide by the Canadian regulatory requirements, which tend to be more conservative. We have assets of $10.5 billion in Canadian funds and a surplus of $1.7 billion. Over here, on the left-hand side, it's a nice leave behind, a nice marketing piece, talks about our assets, our surplus, and our A rating. And again, as I mentioned, giving those clients peace of mind on who they're doing business with. We have 3 partners that we work with in the community. I'm going to go through and highlight those real quick. We have Children's Miracle Network, Kaboom, and the Ronald McDonald House. I've been partners with the Children's Miracle Network now for over 20 years. Since inception with them, we've helped raise more than $500 million. And there's definitely need for assistance when I'm talking about, Children's Miracle Network. Each hospital receives more than 200 children every day in the emergency room. They treat 1 out of 10 children every year in North America. Kaboom, our partner, we've been partners with them for over 7 years now. Now, you may or may not have heard of them. They have one goal. And I always say, it's a very aggressive goal, but they want to have a playground within walking distance of every child within the U.S. We're happy to say that this year we built and sponsored our 100th playground with them, with Foresters. I reside in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm fortunately to say this happened to be in St. Paul a couple months ago. And our last partner in the community is the Ronald McDonald House. What they do simply is provide a safe, affordable, and fun place for families to stay when their child is receiving medical care. I look at this as a nice tie back in with the Children's Miracle Network. We've been partners with them for over 3 years now. On the screen that we're looking at right now are our member benefits. These are all automatically included. Now, one note, you do need a minimum face amount at issue in order to be eligible for all these benefits. But if you do right, and typically with this product, the only time you're going to run into that is typically, when you're working with juveniles and only putting in that minimum premium of $1,500. But again, just as a reminder, in order to be eligible for all these benefits, you do need that minimum face amount of $10,000 at issue. But if you do right below, still going to have access to Everyday Money, Legal Link, and Community Granting. So let's go through. I'll do a high-level review on these. And I encourage you to talk about all these benefits, whether they apply to that existing or potential client. The reason for that is, even if they can't benefit from it, they're going to know somebody that can. A family member, a coworker, even a neighbor, help you do 3 things for your business. 1, help you close a sale. They like the product, they like doing business with you, but for some reason they may be on the fence. Help close that piece of business. Help you get referral business by spreading the word on what's available. And lastly, help you retain the business. They're aware of all the extra value that you're providing to foresters. It's going to be difficult for somebody to come behind you and replace that business. So let's first look at competitive scholarships. We offer up to $8,000. We do 250 new scholarships every year, so it's $2,000 a year for 4 years, so up to $8,000 to help offset the high cost of college. Now, who can apply for this? That's the member. Again, that's the insured, their spouse, dependent children 24 and under, and even grandchildren. So if you're utilizing this product in the senior market, be sure to bring up $10,000 or more. They have access for their grandchildren to apply for the competitive scholarships. Now, it is competitive, but it's very generous. We are looking at a minimum GPA of 2.8 or higher and at least 40 hours of community service within the last 24 months. Orphan benefits, we have Orphan Benefits and Orphan Scholarships. This is typically going to apply, to those younger clients with families. Or, when working in that senior market, I recommend you bring up the Orphan Benefits because that can be a very easy source for referral to get in front of their adult children. So let me give you an example. Say you write mom and dad. They both pass on, leave children behind. We're going to pay $900 per month per child to a legal guardian until the age of 18, above any death benefit. We also have Orphan Scholarships, separate from competitive scholarships. Let's say both mom and dad pass on. We're going to provide up to $24,000 per child to help them go to college. Again, above any death benefit. And lastly, Great Living Benefits. Everyday Money, what they do is provide free, confidential financial counseling for your members. They could have questions across the board, such as, should they refinance their mortgage? They want to pay down some debt. And I always point out, keep in mind they're not in competition with you. They cannot sell any products. They are here to assist you in doing business with foresters. Great feedback. What I hear from the field is those clients are struggling financially. Unfortunately, one of the first things they may want to discontinue is their life insurance. Doesn't apply to your legacy because, again, it's single premium only. But if you are working or interested in other products with foresters, help you retain that business. Next, Legal Link. I look at it as 3 tiers of services: free, discounted, and access to Legal Club America. When we meet with those clients, take in the application, ask them if they have a will in place. You'd be surprised how many do not. According to statistics, roughly, 70% of North America here do not have a will in place. Once issued, reach out to them, have them call LegalLink. They may be eligible for a free simple will with free annual updates. This is going to do a couple things for you. One, help build that relationship. But two, they're going to see the value of foresters immediately, more than simply just life insurance. If they need more than a simple will, any other legal advice, they have access to Legal Club of America. About 20,000 attorneys, they provide a discount of 40% off their services down to $125 an hour just for being a member. And lastly, our community granting program. We have two types of grants. There's community involvement and member involvement grants. Members can apply for up to 2 grants a quarter, on the high side up to $2,500. So in a perfect world, that could be up to $20,000 they could receive a year. So community grants would be, for example, they apply, and if they qualify, say they have a park down the street that hasn't been maintained over the years. If they receive, fix up this local park, assembling hygiene kits for the homeless, gift packs for disadvantaged children. So that's community involvement. Then there's also member involvement. Member involvement grants would be, for example, providing members with deeply discounted, if not free, tickets to a sporting event, an amusement park, night at the movies. So support. As I mentioned, 2 key resources when you work with those clients that may not be in perfect health. Where we talked about over here on the left-hand side, the underwriting guide. I'm going to pull that up and give you an example, as I mentioned in the back, on working with those clients that may not be in perfect health. You also have a dedicated risk assessment team. They're available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and they're at 866-466-7166. I'm now going to log on to Foresters.com, so it's just going to be a moment here. I may have to re-log in. So here I am on the home page. As mentioned, we're always, doing, great trips. So next year, we have 2 different trips. We have Barcelona or San Diego. We're offering an incentive. So 35,000 destination credits and 8 new cases from July 1st through the end of this year, issued and paid business, would help, get you and a guest to San Diego. And again, we're always offering, we value your business. So here I am down at the home page. I'm going to click on Your Legacy. Okay. So some key pieces, as I already mentioned. Here's our producer guide, product reference sheet, a nice 1-page snapshot of the product. Here's an underwriting guide that we were looking at, but let me go ahead and open that up. Again, that's a nice key piece to help underwrite those clients. In addition, you have dedicated risk assessment team. So I'm going to jump down here to the back. So we'll build tables. So here we have lifestyle impairments and medical impairments. For example, the first one here, AIDS or HIV. So we have impairment criteria, standard, non-med, or substandard. So, well, that's going to be a knockout across the board. But now let's look at alcoholism. After 5 years, that's going to be a decline for standard, but maybe an option for substandard looking at an APS. After 5 years, without no current use, except for both standard and substandard. So again, it's going to have common, impairments. So a nice piece. Again, that's our underwriting guide. Then over here, before I get into the software, let's take a look at whole life insurance and dividends. So it talks about, again, we're very conservative on our investment strategy. We've been around for over 140 years. We have a great, surplus. We're not going anywhere. So here's Forrester's dividend interest rates, going back to 2004. Again, always point out, dividends are not guaranteed. And if you're new to, dividends, potential dividends, based on part of the performance of assets held in Forrester's investment portfolio and other factors. So that piece we were just looking at is the whole life insurance and dividends. Next, let's go ahead and look at quoting this product. So you have a desktop download or a web-based version. I'm going to go ahead and open up the web-based version. Very simple product, not a lot of moving parts. You're simply going to put in male or female, age, last birthday, tobacco, non-tobacco, state you're writing business in, and standard or substandard. So here I have the software open. Over here on the lower left-hand side, click on your legacy. I'm actually going to change it to, let's look at Minnesota. Then we have the owner tax rate. So the owner tax rate, the disbursement amount will be lowered by the inputted owner tax rate in an illustration. One note on that, the reduction of the disbursement amount will not be automatically done. It's for illustration purposes only. But I'll leave it at 28%. Put in the client's first name, last name, male or female. Let's look at a female. Let's say we have a 75-year-old female. Then insurance class, tobacco or non, standard or substandard. I'm going to leave it at non-tobacco standard. Now I'm going to go up here to the upper left-hand corner, click on death benefit and funding. So we have three solves. You can solve for face amount, specify face amount, or solve for maximum face amount, meaning solving for the maximum net amount at risk, what premium is required based off age of the client. But I'm going to leave it at solve for face amount. Let's say we have a client that we have $75,000 to work with. As I mentioned, 1035 exchanges are allowed. You put in any 1035 exchange amount. Then we have disbursement amount. If you want to illustrate any disbursements, you can also enter that information on the table input. So we have loans, withdrawals to cost basis, switch to cost basis, specify the amount. And for example, from years defaults from 2 to M, meaning 2 to maturity. But you can always change that. And again, you can also enter that information on table input. So now we have put in the premium amount. If you hover over here on the right-hand side, you can see female, age 75, non-tobacco. So that would get her base coverage of $104,777. Next, let's go to dividends and riders. Software defaults to paid-up additions from 1 through maturity, but you can always change that down the road. You can do that here and also under the table input. Say they wanted paid-up additions for the first 20 years, but then after 20 years, for the remaining life, they wanted to receive that money in cash. So you have paid-up additions, dividends on deposit, or get that money in cash. Down here, standard protection features. It's already pre-selected what the client is going to be eligible for. So we have common carrier, accelerated death benefit. We have chronic, critical, and terminal. Again, depending upon age of the client, face amount at issue, and health of the client. One note on here, family health benefit rider. First rider that we looked at is not checked. It's not grayed out, simply because, unfortunately, Minnesota was not able to approve it. So it's automatically can select all the riders subject to state availability and eligibility for the client. Now let's go to the table input. So here, as I mentioned, you can switch. Say you want to illustrate loans at year 21. You'd simply just click on switch at cost basis, and whether you want to illustrate a loan, withdrawal down cost basis, or switch at cost basis, meaning we're going to take out that disbursement amount on withdrawals down to the cost basis and then switch over to loans. The amount, and it has then last on here, fill down years, meaning how many years they want to illustrate that for. Defaults to 1, but if you wanted to illustrate for 10 years, you'd simply put in 10, click on OK. As I mentioned also on the table input here, you want to switch from paid-up additions, say in year 21, they want to receive that money in cash. Put cash, and for how many years, again, they want to receive that. Once you've entered that, simply click on OK. So software, really easy to work with, not a lot of moving parts on this product. Now let's look at, over here on the left-hand side, at a glance. So here, the first thing we have is the illustrated assumptions will cause the contract to be a MEC in policy year 1, because we've already exceeded that 7-pay premium in year 1 with that, and majority of time, if you haven't worked with single premium whole lives, majority of time they are definitely going to be a MEC just because you're exceeding that 7-pay premium, but that is not a terrible thing. Just meaning that they may be subject to some tax implications if they're taking out any loans and withdrawals. Again, they may be, but still keep in mind, even though it's a modified endowment contract, they still have some very important tax benefits. Cash value, gross tax deferred. Death benefits paid to the beneficiaries, generally received income tax free. And then also with appropriate planning, death benefits may also receive estate tax free. But now let's scroll down here. So here we have end of year, age, contract premium, guaranteed cash value, guaranteed death benefit, annual dividend. Left it at that paid up additions. So paid up cash value, we have total cash and total death benefit. So you can see that already starts to grow in year one based off the dividend scale we anticipate to pay. Jumping down here to age 90, again, guaranteed cash value, guaranteed death benefit. Total cash value in this case, over $98,000. Total death benefit, over $119,000. As I mentioned, this product endows at age 121 for your clients. If you want to close this out, you simply scroll back up here to the top upper right-hand corner and click on the X. Then the last thing we have over here on the lower left-hand side is the reports. So similar information, what we're going to look at. To update my producer information here real quick. So once you're clicking on reports, then down here, bottom center, create and preview reports. And one note I'd like to point out, with this product you need one of two things returned with the application. Either signed illustration that we're looking at right now, all pages that matches the identical information on the application, meaning correct first name, last name, all your producer information, base amount, premium, or what a lot of producers like to use is called an illustration certification. Real easy to work with. 2 pages. They're identical. One stays with the applicant, one comes back with the application. In most states, you have 3 options to choose from. 1, no illustration was used. 2, an illustration was used but is not conforming to the information on the application. Or 3, a computer screen was used. So I'm just going to scroll through this here. You can save as a copy, email it, print it off for your clients. So you have basic information, narrative summary, numeric summary, additional information, talks about what it means to be a modified endowment contract, tabular detail, very similar to what we were looking at a glance. So very easy to work with. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here. A lot of great resources, as I mentioned, on Foresters.com. And once appointed with Foresters, let me jump back here to the website. For additional training, not on only this product, but any products with Foresters, I created the Producer Academy. So anytime you're logged on to Foresters.com, click on Training, top center of the page here. Over here, on the left-hand side, click on Self-Directed Learning. So here you're going to see, first product that's going to pop up is Your Legacy, single premium. So there's Your Legacy. This is a recording of a webinar, identical information, what we're going through today if you want to review that, as well as the slide deck, whole life introduction, basic product information, dividend options, riders, how to quote the product, and finally, how to complete the application. And the same is going to follow suit with all the products here with Foresters. So you can learn what you want, when you want on any of the products. So a key resource for you is the Sales Support Desk. They're available Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, and they're at 866-466-7166, option 1. Whether it's questions on the products, materials, quoting, they are here to help you get the business in the door. Most of them, they're all licensed. Most of them have been out in the field themselves. They know what you're going through. They're here to help you get the business in the door, and they're your live voice with Foresters. So a key resource for you. So with that said, I thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully, gave you a good introduction into Foresters Your Legacy. Very easy product to work with, not a lot of moving parts. How to quote it, a review of Foresters difference, what makes this unique in the industry, our member benefits. So with that said, let's go ahead and open up to any questions if there are any.
Jared, I think that I think you answered a couple of those as you've gone through the presentation. Would you maybe just take a step back and show us how to get to the marketing materials and how to order those?
Yep, sure. There's one of two ways. You can order them on foresters.com, but again, you do need to be appointed because that does require logs in with your agent number and then your password. But let me go back here. And if you're just getting started, I always, even if you're not contracted with us just yet, the sales support desk can help you out with that. But let me go. So back here on foresters.com, on the top here, you click on Forms and Brochures. And then you would simply go ahead. You can do a basic search. Let's say you just wanted this product. So form type, I click on completing the sale. I'll just leave it at Alabama. Product type, this is whole life. Your legacy, and then look up. So here's where you can download and print off the materials. So what it does is it defaults to everything over here is already pre-selected to either email it to yourself or print that off. If you want to order hard copies, the first thing is going to be, now keep in mind with this product, if you want to order hard copies, on the left-hand side, click on the shopping cart. Now, we have down here at the bottom, it appears under the order section. So you'd select what you want. You can go ahead and select, everything that was already pre-populated with the email or print. You'd click on order. You'd select the quantity, enter your shipping information. Again, another key resource, the sales support desk, jumping back here. They can order the materials for you. So I recommend, starting out and, not very familiar with the website or what you may need, let them know what product you're doing business with, and they can get those materials out. And let me open this up again. Yeah, they're again at 866-466-7166. What other questions do we have?
It doesn't look like we have any other questions in the chat box.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that means that you did a fabulous job.
Thank you. Thank you again. We certainly we appreciate this opportunity, and thanks everyone for attending today.
All right, so we did record this webinar, so it will be hosted on the MAS website. You can visit us directly at www.medicareadvantagespecialist.com, or feel free to give one of our marketing directors a phone call at 1-800-480-9857. Jared, thank you again so much for sharing information with us about your legacy and with Foresters. Talking about those trips are fabulous. So if you haven't had an opportunity to be on one of those, then now certainly a great opportunity to get started and try to set your sights on the Barcelona trip. I guess we will end it here. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, and I hope that everybody has a fabulous day. And again, if you have any questions, give us a call at 1-800-480-9857. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.